Bangers and hash.
And welcome back to the couch, our favorite potatoes, for a beautiful, exciting, fun episode of the exclusive episode of Bangers and Hash.
Yeah.
Share it with your friends, let them know what they're missing out on, because they sure are missing out.
But don't let them download it. Just like, you can view this, but you can't download it.
Listen to it with them. Take like 5 to 10 minutes and listen to a certain funny portion of the episode.
Just one
and then
part.
Stop it.
Yeah, and it's like, if you want more,
stop it real quick.
$5.
Yeah,
$5 a month.
$5.
Or wait, or
it's actually $3.50.
I think we were talking about making Bangers and Hash part of the $2.
Yeah, we are
spot.
short. Yeah.
I think
because the vote is for everybody.
That will hopefully, bring more people in. And if you guys have any ideas about how to bring more people in to our little fun community, well, we think it's fun anyways. We really appreciate your patronage so that we can keep on going.
Indeed.
It would be great to make the show larger, but to do that, we need more capital. So if you guys have any ideas or can spread word of mouth or do what you feel is appropriate,
hook us up with an advertisement company.
Yeah, if anybody knows anything about that. The real thing is that we don't know how to market at all.
Yeah, we're pretty bad at that shit.
We're trying to pick up the pace a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll figure it out. We'll put
our
noses to the grindstones. Well, I knows you don't have a nose, but we'll put it to the grindstone and we'll get it all figured out and straighten the course of this here podcast.
That's right.
Straighten it uphill, that is.
That's right.
It's already going pretty straight, but we're gonna get climbing.
But we're gonna make it queer right now.
Oh yeah, baby.
They
are the faceless Leon.
And they are the Green Traveler from Gorsh. I thought I was going to get it in that time. This is Bangers and Hash. Thank you for coming and being patrons. Yeah, we get 2 theme songs now. So, I'm going to start off with something that I actually finished probably in January, and didn't get around to sharing about it last time we met. I think I was trying to save the best for last, and then I was like, I'm gonna want to talk about this one. We're gonna want to talk about this one because I'm talking about Titans. So Titans.
Ooh,
DC, it's a HBO Max series. I believe it started on a cable channel, but it ended up I guess it's going to be its last season, and they have been taking a long mid-season hiatus, so there will be a few more episodes to wrap it up but season, the first part of this season, very good. I will break it down a little bit, and we might be here for a little bit, so we hope you like superheroes. So it stars, this is based off of DC Comics Teen Titans, if you don't know anything about DC.
But as adults.
But as adults-ish. Some of them are still teenagers. Dick Grayson, however, is very much not. And Dick Grayson is portrayed by Brenton Thwaites?
Probably
there
Thwaites.
It is. Thwaites? Maybe. He
and might I say, Nightwing is, of course, as I've mentioned on this podcast a long time ago, my all-time favorite comic book character.
Yes.
So the main reason I haven't watched this show is because I always worry about how he's going to be adapted.
And I think you would be so on it, and that's kind of disappointing. His version grew on me, but he was never a very funny guy. They did the same thing they did with Arrow, where they made him very broody. They made him Batman. Which, with the storyline that they're going with for his story arc throughout the 4 seasons, that does kind of make sense. Like, the storyline they're going for is that Batman turned Dick into a weapon. And he is trying to recover from that and figure out what he wants to be. So at first he tries to be a cop. And, you know, every once in a while he'll break bad and still do some vigilante stuff. And he's really brutal. Like, this is, like, really brutal Robin, guys. And he's still Robin at this point when he does his vigilante justice. And he gets wanted in Detroit for beating up some crooks. And he's on the police force in Detroit at the same time.
That's another thing. In Detroit.
They didn't
couldn't even fake up a Bloodhaven.
Yeah, no. Anyhow, while he is on the force, he tries to help out kids and teens mostly, because he's got a soft spot for them. You know, in this verse he was a teenager when his parents died and he was taken in by Bruce. So he has a soft spot for kids in a tough spot. So he runs into Rachel Roth, also known as Raven, played by Tegan Croft. And she just had her mother killed in front of her by these people who are chasing her. And it turns out that they are a cult to her father. Yeah. So her father, Trigon, is an interdimensional being, a demon, it's so called. Yeah. And he is trying to break through to our realm. And that is the main plot of the first season, is Trigon. Yeah. And it's pretty good. I think a pretty good opening for adaptation of this. But it's pretty also
classic take when you look at the Teen Titans. They're like they're their own version of a D&D group, and
kind of.
You hear Demon as the first villain, and you're just like, "Ooh, that's pretty powerful." Yeah, and then it's like you face way tougher things after that, who are more realistic or grounded usually, which is very
really
interesting.
Weird. Yeah, it is strange. So along the way, we meet Corey Anders, played by Anna Diop. And it's two words, and she believes that she is an investigator in the FBI, but she doesn't have any actual memory. So she's trying to figure out what's going on, but she knows it has something to do with Rachel Roth's character. So when I say two words, people who read the comics know that I'm talking about Corey Ander, who is also known as Starfire. And she's an alien, and she in this story, I will spoil it because, you know, there's 4 seasons. She was sent on a mission to kill Raven because she's part of a prophecy.
Ooh,
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
Do they have a romantic relationship with Nightwing?
Yes, they do. They do, but it's kind of off and on again.
Well, that's how it should be. He should be getting with Batgirl every now and then as well. So.
Well, Donna Troy is in this as well.
Wow, he's stepping up his game. That's pretty good.
Yeah, so Donna Troy as Wonder Girl is playing Connor Leslie. Yeah, and she does too. She kind of shows that a little bit. Who else do they meet in the first season, though? Donna Troy is in the first season, as well as Don Granger and Hank Hall. The reverse of that would be Hawk and Dove, so Dove and Hawk. And that's played by Minka Kelly and Alan Richson. So in this version of Titans, there had already been a team under that name with Robin in it that collapsed. And this is really where the second season comes in. That team included Hawk and Dove, Wonder Girl, and sometimes Aqualad.
Nice.
The Garth Aqualad. So they fell apart because they went up against Deathstroke, and bad things happened, and they're like, no, fuck that. And then after this event with Rachel and everything, he decides, this being Dick, decides to get Titans up and running again.
The band back together again.
Get the band back together again, but he's doing it with these new characters. So with these younger kids, and he's going to just be the leader. He's also trying to step back as Robin because Jason Todd is also a character. Jason. So yes, apparently in this world, it did not take Bruce very long to find Jason Todd. And Jason Todd, played by Curran Walters, by the way. And he is just a total brat. Kind of what you would imagine for a young, Jason Todd, being that he becomes the Red Hood. Which, that's the 3rd season. Spoilers.
Nice. I like that. So out of curiosity, then, did they have their own Deathstroke and Joker? Does the show do they cast their own versions?
You know what? I don't know that they actually ever show the Joker, except for from a distance, where he's beating Jason Todd. Yeah.
As he should.
As he should. Let me see if they have him in the cast list, but I doubt it. Yeah, if he's in there, he's very low in there.
But they do have their own Deathstroke, though.
That's right, and I'm going to find him.
So it's not Jason Manganiello or whatever?
That's right, it is not. It is Isai Morales.
Okay, I like him.
I don't know if I recall him from anything, but he kind of reminds me of Broyles. That's not right?
He's in
Thanos. Justin Broyles.
He's a crossword clue quite a lot.
Oh, is he?
I do the Washington Post crossword every morning, and okay. I feel like I only know him for that, honestly, because it's like every single time it's just like actor blank Morales. I'm like, I know this one.
I know this
Got
one.
all the vowels they need.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah. He played Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, who is like the world's best mercenary. He was in this version. He was experimented on when he was in the military, and it gave him more super abilities like agility and strength, but still not like to the point where he's Flash or Superman. He's just also very skilled.
Right.
One of the few people who beats Batman in the comics.
As it should be.
As it should be.
Oh, in the comics, you're right. I thought you meant in the show.
Yeah. So there is also a Batman in this. They don't actually, I don't think, ever show him in the Batsuit. But Bruce Wayne is played by Ian Glenn. He is from Game of Thrones. He plays Jorah Mormont.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and honestly, I quite liked it. I quite liked it. Now you could tell his American accent is passing, I'll say. But other than that, he's great. He's always. He's I don't know what the phrase is, but he's very Shakespearean in his delivery. But he knows how to say a line, and he does a very good job. So going back to the 2nd season still, we do get introduced to Superboy, Connor Kent, a clone of both Superman and Lex Luthor. In this, he is portrayed by Joshua Orpin, and at first he's like definitely playing this like fish out of water babyface kind of character, and then by where we're at now, he's really showing more tendencies towards the Lex side of things, I will say, where we leave off his storyline. So that's interesting. And also, we have Gar Logan, also named Beast Boy. He's a 1st season character. This is actually where Doom Patrol span off from this show. I had no idea. They're in one episode of Titans. And Gar was a part of them. Timothy Dalton was not Niles. Everybody else was the same cast, though, from the show. They adopt Gar into the Titans from Doom Patrol. So I thought that was really weird that I had watched Doom Patrol before this, not even knowing that it was a spinoff.
How are the effects on Beast Boy? Are they good?
The first couple seasons, I'm gonna say not really, but he only turns into a tiger.
Oh,
yeah, and I think that's to be cheap. But I think they were going to give him more of an arc. but really they didn't touch into it until this season.
Gotcha.
Where he has finally figured out how to use all of his abilities. Like at the top, like I think the first episode of the 4th season, they show him using a tentacle to bowl with. Like he can change his limbs independently now. So he goes from only being able to be a tiger to being able to do whatever the fuck Beast Boy wants to do.
Oh, silly.
Yeah. So they explain his powers by saying that he has the ability to rearrange his DNA. So who else do I need to mention that's a member? Well, Barbara Gordon is in this, but she is Commissioner Gordon in the show, and she is in a wheelchair. So the events of the Killing Joke or whichever storyline, I think it's Killing Joke. Right. Savannah Welch plays her. Also has a love affair with Dick Grayson.
Good.
Yeah, I think that's more in the past, but you know,
I'm still on that boat. I know that's a '90s thing, and I know most people are. I guess a lot of fans are over it and don't want him to be with Batgirl, but I'm all for Barbara and Dick.
Nice. I did also just remember that Dawn, being Dove, also has an affair with Dick, so Dick gets around.
Hell yeah. Good job, Dick. See, at least they got that right. I'm really happy about that.
So, okay, so I didn't even say what is going on in the 4th season. I explained that the first, Trigon, second is Deathstroke, third, Red Hood, and now the 4th is the Blood Cult with Brother Blood. And
gotcha.
Mother Chaos. I don't know that I know this character very well, but she seems
mildly full circle, I guess.
Yeah. Yes. In fact, they bring up a relationship between Brother Blood and Raven. Also, Lex Luthor is also thrown into the mix of this. They have a Lex Luthor. Let me see if I can find.
Is it John Cryer?
I'm
still surprised that John Cryer was fucking Alan from 2.5 Men was the fucking CW's Lex Luthor. I hear he was good. I stopped watching all those shows before he came out.
I had no idea.
It's very funny.
That's
he looks
really
good for the role, honestly.
I am not finding Lex. To be fair, he was only into 2 episodes. There he is, Titus Welliver. And he's interesting. Oh, dude, I think it's the smoke monster. I mean, the man in black or whatever.
Titus Welliver?
From Lost.
Oh, yeah. It is the smoke monster. That's hilarious. Yeah, he could be a pretty good Lex. I see it.
Yeah. I didn't quite recognize him because he went totally shaved, and also grew this interesting beard thing that was very dark in color.
It's hot. I like that.
Yeah. Anyways, in these couple of episodes that he is in, he knows that he's dying, and he reaches out to Connor because he knows Connor's in Metropolis. Honestly, Connor came to Metropolis to visit Superman, but Superman had to go
beyond Lois and Clark,
save the universe.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and Connor's like, well, he's an important guy. That's good enough for me that we had planned this. I'm sure it'll happen one day. And then Lex is like, hey, I want to meet you. And he's like, I don't know. You're the guy who had me like being made in a lab. Jesus. Yeah, but they do meet, and like it is a very interesting scene where you're like, man, maybe there is some really interesting angles of humanity with this Lex Luthor. In the next episode, he's dead.
That's what you think.
That's what I think. Yes. I don't think that, actually. I'm trying to save as much as I can for people. But anyhow, I do enjoy it. I can see some purists not being happy with it. And there's definitely some dragging moments, I think, in the 2nd season, which is upsetting because that's the Deathstroke season. But, that happens in 2nd seasons of shows. Yeah. So, that's my story. I give it a face, and I'm sad that they're ending it, but I understand.
Yeah, James Gunn coming in, he's sweeping the floors there.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I've wanted to watch it, but as I said, like I looked up the interpretation of Nightwing, and from what I've read, I knew I would be upset because Nightwing's supposed to be a happy camper.
Yeah, he is, and by the time he becomes Nightwing, he is more so.
That's good. I mean, even when he was young, it's like in most of the things that I've always read of Nightwing, he is trying to make jokes. He's trying to be happy. He's trying to keep people happy. He's trying to help as much as he can. And the dude goes through so much shit. Like, he has seen so much tragedy. He's been through so many fucking trials with Batman. Like, no matter which run you read, Dick Grayson goes through shit. Like, he always has a tragic story, but he always is trying to be positive. He takes a lot after Superman. And the fact that he is trying to be, a good person, to do good things. Like, even the name Nightwing, I mean, it depends on which version you read, but he gets the name Nightwing from Superman because, he's telling Superman he wants to be set out on his own, he wants to be his own man, and Superman tells him a story of these two heroes he knew on a distant planet, and one of them was named Nightwing. And, after that, Dick Grayson's like, yeah, I like that. It was an empowering story. It was a hopeful story. I'm going to take the name Nightwing. Nice. I'm going to be my own man and do my own thing and not be under Bruce's shadow. But, I mean, I'm very interested in the show, but it's one of those that's far down on my list right now, mainly because it's so broody. Like, I know that DC Comics are typically broody.
It gets less so, but at the same time, the way that it becomes campy is... it takes a while for that to feel comfortable. Yeah. Like, it tries to start off hyper realistic and become campy, and that doesn't work very well. Yeah.
And that's my problem is, like, it seems like most people who step into a DC Comics story, not just like a comic book, but like a movie that is, they always think they have to take one of two routes, either dark and broody like Arrow, or super campy like, Tim Burton's Batman. Yeah. And it's just like, it'd be fine to be Tim Burton's Batman, like to just keep doing DC stuff like that. But there's so much more to it. That's why I'm excited about James Gunn, because he has a very interesting way of telling a story that can be emotional and fun and not feel campy or seriously moody.
Also,
and it's like, I'm excited
even
for
the Marvel movies. Even the Marvel movies recently, like, they're branching into trying to make them more genre movies that just so happen to be superhero movies, and I really appreciate that, because we all know that you can get tired of a formula, even if you're raised on the formula. You said no mommy's teat for me, just the formula. You get tired of it.
Getting to segue off of that, I'll jump into my Marvel film of the day, the big one that came out, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, directed by Peyton Reed, written by Jeff Loveness.
You got your Jeffs in there, huh?
Sorry, I was struggling on that name. I looked at it and saw Jack, and I was like, "That's not Jack, Jeff." But no, brings People's Sexiest Man from a couple years ago, Paul Rudd, back to the stage as the titular hero Ant-Man. Everybody knows and loves Ant-Man, right? Here's my thing with it. Ant-Man 1. I don't really remember much. I remember the villain, Yellow Jacket or Daryl.
Wait, he's back? Oh, the first one, the first movie.
No. Yeah, I remember the first one. But the second one, the only thing I really remember the second one is the Wasp, and I fell in love with the Wasp, and I was like, more of her, please, because it's Evangeline Lilly from Lost.
From The Hobbit.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're right. Sorry. But I wanted more of them. Like I like Evangeline Lilly, and I love the Wasp. The Wasp was so much more bad. Sorry to Paul Rudd and Ant-Man, but the Wasp was very badass and got shit done. And he's kind of a goof. Yeah, and she's long been a member of the Avengers, like in the comics, that is. Mm-hmm. So it was nice to see an actual good, really strong Wasp, and she took a lot of center play in the second one, from what I remember. At least that was what I only remember Wasp. I mean, the movie was called Ant-Man and the Wasp. This one is technically Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, but everybody's just calling it Ant-Man Quantumania. So is
the title actually Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's honestly poorly named because, sadly, even though the Wasp has a lot to do in this film, it is an Ant-Man film. And it's 100% an Ant-Man film. Like, he has all the big moments. But we have our third daughter of Ant-Man. And by that I mean the third actor to play Cassie Lang. This time it's Catherine Newton. Different girl in the first Ant-Man movie. Different girl in Ant-Man and the Wasp, as well as Captain America. I think they had Civil War, that is. I think they had the same Cassie Lang for those two films. If I'm remembering, I can't remember what other movie she was in. But yeah, this is the third time we've had an actress change here. So that's
they're too old. Right? They're too old to be Paul Rudd's daughter anymore.
They're changing too much. Jesus. Yeah, this time she's 18 years old.
Oh, okay.
This time she's much older. I mean, it's still
that
like I don't know. I don't know how old she's been. The blip happened and it fucked everything up.
Oh, that's right. Jesus.
But yeah, now she is smart. She's intelligent. She is skipping school and getting arrested just like her father was.
Yeah.
But so he has some issues with that. But he's also got Ant-Man's got a bit of a complex now, where he's just like, I'm an Avenger. I fought with Captain America on the airfield during Civil War. I helped defeat Thanos. It's like, without me, all this blip shit wouldn't have been resolved because I was fucking stuck in the quantum realm. Blah blah blah. Watch Endgame, and it's just like, he's got a big head about him now. I mean, he's not too braggy. He is still lovable little Ant-Man.
Avenger.
He's an Avenger, damn it. And he's getting recognized. People know his face now. He wrote a book about it, what he did. Yep, he got that book money. And but the problem is, he's feeling slightly estranged from his growing daughter, who is setting out on her own, and is very interested in the quantum realm. And she wants to get a burst of pride out of her father, and she shows him this signal, this like satellite kind of thing, that can map the quantum realm for them. They can shoot a signal down there, and from the response or whatever, they can map it out. The problem is when what's her old name? Janet Van Dyne, Hank Pym's wife, played by Michelle Pfeiffer, who they found in the second one, if you'll remember. The problem is, when she hears that they're shooting a signal down there, she starts to freak the fuck out and says, "Don't do that." And once she starts to panic, they all get sucked into the quantum realm. Her, Ant-Man and his daughter, the Wasp, as well as Hank Pym, and a bunch of ants. A bunch of ants get sucked in there. It's really sad. I only mention that because they do become important to the plot. I won't spoil how, but they do. And it's good shit. It's really good shit.
Like the goats in Love and Thunder?
No, they're far more important than them.
How could you be more important than the goats in Love and Thunder?
That's fair. I understand. But oh my god, that movie, that was something else.
Yeah, that was.
But Hank Pym, by the way, played by Michael Douglas, same as the last three films. They've kept him, thankfully, and he's great as Hank Pym. I love him because he's he likes ants. That's his only character trait. I like ants. He says that a lot. I like ants. Fuck off. I like ants. But the problem is they're all stuck in the quantum realm. They're all kind of separated. Ant-Man is with his daughter, and the other three, Hank and his wife, as well as the Wasp, are all stuck in their own worlds. And so they're kind of trying to find each other and get the fuck out. And they're trying to get the fuck out because Michelle Pfeiffer, Hank's wife, she left something in the quantum realm that she was hoping to leave trapped in the quantum realm. And she does not want that something getting out. If you've seen the trailer, I'm about to say it. You've definitely heard about it. If you don't know anything, then tune out now.
I'm not listening.
You know it.
I don't.
You know it. You've seen the trailer.
Have I?
I definitely shared it, and we've definitely talked about it. What she left down there was Kang the Conqueror.
Oh, okay.
Or a version of Kang the Conqueror. Played by Jonathan Majors. I'm enjoying his performances he's putting out because he's played Kang already in Loki. He played the one who remains in Loki. Mm-hmm. And so it's very exciting to see what they're doing with this character. I will say that I'm not as excited. He doesn't seem like, I know he's supposed to be the next Thanos level thing. He doesn't quite feel that way right now. He seems like he's, not as intimidating, I will say. So it's going to be interesting how they build off of his character. Obviously, I won't spoil.
He doesn't have to be as intimidating to be equally as life-threatening.
Exactly. That's true. I'm just meaning from a performance standpoint, from like as an audience member watching it. Even though I love Jonathan Majors and I'm excited for what is coming with Kang, I'm not like, I don't know, like antsy, because when I wasn't really antsy about Thanos either, but that's what I'm trying to get across is when I watched Infinity War, I was like, oh my god, this is so exciting. They've been building to this for like 10 years. I can't wait. And then you see him on screen, and like his first action is killing fucking Loki, and it's just like, oh my god, like this guy means business. And then like once Endgame happened, it was the same thing where I was very excited for what they're gonna do with this character. And I didn't really like what they did, but that's fine. But like with Kang, coming into Ant-Man knowing he was in it because of the trailer, I gotta say I was excited for Jonathan Majors more than I was excited for Kang the Conqueror, because they haven't really done much to establish this character.
So hopefully we get more. I do like how so the little tastes that we got with Thanos were such little tastes. Until he was a character. At least Jonathan Major's been getting scenes.
That's true. And he's been knocking his scenes out of the ballpark. He does have, I love Josh Brolin's Thanos. Don't get me wrong. Yes. But there is just like, I
tried to say his name 7 times earlier in this episode. Josh Brolin.
Jonathan Majors has this icy intimidation about him. Like, he's very suave and calm, and then when he loses his shit and you're kind of scared. But like, I really do enjoy, because he's also giving because this isn't the one who remains, right? So it's like the version of Kang we saw in Loki, this is a different version. This is a version that's been trapped in the quantum realm. So it's just like, he's been down there for a while, and he's pretty fucking TO'd, let's say, for the kids. So it's just like,
for the kids on this Patreon.
I won't spoil any more than that. I will say Bill Murray has a cameo in this, and I really hated it.
Okay.
It was the most Bill Murray performance ever, which is to say, like, all he did was just do himself. And I'm honestly kind of tired of it. Like, I want, if he's going to do things, I want him to actually try, because that's what you want from people. And it just felt so wooden and out of place, and like his whole scene, I was just like, can we get him off the screen now and cut back to like Scott and his daughter, because I'm really fucking tired of this shit. And like, it has those moments. This movie got like hurt by the critics. They hated it. It was like 50% critics liked it, and then like 80% of the audience liked it. So it was a huge disparity between critics and audience. I think it was better than what the critics are saying. I'm giving it 3 stars. They're really killing it. There's a lot of people who said that, it's like, if Marvel, if Ant-Man is a sign of what's coming with Marvel, we should all start panicking right now. And I'm like, I think that's crazy. Like, it was fine. It's not a bad movie. It wraps, like, it does Ant-Man decent justice for a trilogy. He's got some pretty good moments in this. I like what they're doing with his daughter. It seems like they're trying to, set up a whole new Avengers crew. And, I can see someday his daughter, taking over. So it's like, they're building characters. Jonathan Majors killed it. Like, it's not as bad as the critics are saying. There's one character I want to talk about a lot, but I won't. He's the character I love the most about this whole movie. He had all the best moments, in my opinion, but it's a big spoiler, so I won't talk about it. But my God, when you see the movie, you'll know who I'm talking about, because it's the one person I didn't talk about who deserved to be talked about.
Well, 3 stars. People are obviously watching it. Yeah. Should I rush out to the theater?
It really depends on how much you like the Marvel movies. If you're dying, they'll catch them.
It used to be.
Yeah.
It used to be.
Yeah.
That I was
exactly. It's like that now. It's kind of saturated.
Disney Plus eventually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In a couple months. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say either, wait for Disney, or if the drive-in theater ever opens, go there,
Yeah, maybe soon, because it is feeling warmer, but we'll have another winter here soon. So, sticking with Disney, me and my wife, watched National Treasure, The Edge of History.
Thank you for doing this.
Edge of History, not The Edge. I wanted to watch it because, we did the movies, and right. I wanted to know. And, it is definitely more young adult. I don't know if you can say the movies aren't, but the movies are definitely, they're built towards family friendly, but they adults can enjoy it. And I wouldn't say that adults wouldn't enjoy this. In fact, it's about 5 college-aged peoples, and they kind of stumble upon a mystery, and Jess Valenzuela, the main character, played by Liseta Oliveira, she likes to solve mysteries, and her father apparently was a treasure hunter, and it all turns out that he was a part of this organization to actually protect this treasure called something about the Lady Serpent. I don't remember exactly. Anyhow, she gets deeper into this mystery. She finds out that it has to do a lot with the things that she had heard about growing up, and so it is a much more a Native American treasure than the other two, even though the second one definitely was a Native American treasure. But the thing is that they focus more on the Native American sites. This being, I don't think they go to South America, but mostly the Aztec and Mayan stuff. And they do actually visit 3 different areas to collect these boxes that are magnets that come undone and make this big map, Oh,
nice.
Yeah. So the first thing that happens is somehow she meets up with Agent Sandusky, the guy from the movies. Yeah. He's a very old man. It's Harvey Keitel. He's a very old man. He's apparently started having dementia, and and he starts rambling on about this treasure to her. So that's how she gets started on it, because he dies the next day. Peter Sandusky does, and they believe that he was murdered because they know that somebody else is looking for the treasure. That somebody else is Billy Pierce. Billy Pierce, played by Catherine Zeta-Jones. And, yes. And it has, all the funding in the world to research this treasure, and is part of another organization that's been looking for it that maybe is a part of the same organization. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to explain, but she has team members, the main one being Casey Hassler, played by Brita Wool, and this woman is a badass. Nice. She's got some of the best scenes just beating up people. That was a lot of fun to watch. Anyhow, on the good guy team, Dress is a part of this group of 4 friends, which includes Tasha Rivers, played by Zuri Reed, Oren Bradley, played by Antonio Cipriano, and Ethan Chow, played by Jordan Rodriguez. They grew up together. Her mom, who died of cancer a few years before the start of the show, they all felt like she was kind of their aunt, that kind of really close growing up relationship. Now, they also protect Jess because they are all aware that she is an undocumented person in the States. So, they all help her out. Oren, maybe it's Ethan, I don't remember. Maybe it's both of them. I think Oren and Ethan are both studying to become lawyers. and Tasha is some kind of computer whiz. I don't remember. She hacks some things in the show.
Nice. Yeah.
I watched this a little while back. Yeah, gotta have your tech guy. Another fun. So Tasha and Oren are also in a relationship. They break up at the very beginning of the show, but that they obviously still like each other and get back together.
Right.
But a funny thing about Oren is that he is absolutely in love with sneakers. Like, he's that person that he brushes them twice a day. That kind of thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And he bids outrageous amount of money on his sneakers and has a huge collection. It gets them in trouble, and that part is them making it part of the plot was fun.
Yeah, that's good. I was gonna say it sounds like a character, a personality trait similar to Ryan and Doctor Who. The one more modern companion who had trouble riding a bike. He had an imbalance issue, so he would always fall down when he tried to ride a bike. And I'm just like, what is the point of this personality trait? And they bring it up a lot, and it never ties into the plot, like, ever. And I was like, that is so stupid. But at least this one, they tied into the plot.
They do. It is a funny way that they do. But another thing that happens is they all go to Mexico for another clue, and the only one that comes back is Oren. And the FBI at this point are looking into Jess and her friends for the murder of Peter Sandusky.
Oh.
Yeah, so Agent Ross is like the main agent that we follow, and she doesn't really think that it's them, but she's being pushed by some evidence and things that her boss says to look into Jess. But Jess is the one who tipped the agency off that Peter might have been murdered. So she's like, something's not quite fitting here. But Agent Ross is played by Lyndon Smith. So where was I? Oh yeah, she comes to Oren and is like, so you just went to Mexico, and we're looking for Jess and all them, and they're not in town. So what were you guys doing down there? And he's like, well, if they're in Mexico, I don't know anything about that. I was down there for a sneaker convention.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I don't know what else to say about this besides that, it builds just like, an action adventure mystery does, just very much like the movies that it's based off of. We don't have Ben, whatever
Gates.
their last name is, Ben Gates in this, but we do have whatever his name is, Roland, Randy, I don't fucking remember.
Riley
Thank
Poole.
you. Riley Poole, played by Justin Bartha. He is in this, and he almost dies with Jess. So, he gets in there just to almost die. So, yeah.
What do you rate it?
Yeah, so it was interesting up until the last episode, which had a very, very weird pace to it, and it also was very cliche. More cliche than the endings of the National Treasure movies. And it really kind of marred what I thought could be a good show. So I just give it a face. Like, it's watchable. Yeah. If there's more of it, I don't think I'm gonna go back to it. The ending was just not great. Yeah, that's what I have to say.
I'm happy you watched it. That's one of those shows that I was very intrigued by, but was not gonna touch with a 10-foot pole. Yeah. So I'm happy to get an opinion on it because that's good.
It was okay. Decent performances.
Yeah. I'm gonna quickly try to get through these two. This is in preparation for next month's Bangers and Hash.
I see.
There is a new film coming out that I'm very excited for called Creed 3. So to prepare our lovely patrons for when I talk about Creed 3 and I have to talk about these two films, let me talk Creed and Creed 2. If you have seen and love Rocky, but got tired of the Rocky films because they made 6 of them, you can watch Rocky 1 and Rocky 2 and Rocky 4. I guess Rocky Balboa is good. I don't. Nothing really. I'm just not a big I don't even remember Rocky 2, so I would honestly say Rocky and Rocky 4 because those are the ones I remember.
Those are the ones we had on VHS.
Yeah, I remember Mr. T was in one of the other ones. I just don't remember which one.
The third one. I believe the second one was the rematch between him and Apollo Creed, where he actually wins.
Spoilers for Rocky.
Oh, yeah.
Because he lost. Yeah. If you don't know, Rocky lost in the first one. And that's important to note because it's the Creed franchise is really likened to do, homage to the previous franchise while being its own thing. And that's kind of like the whole air of Creed. It follows the son of Apollo Creed, Adonis Creed, played amazingly by Michael B. Jordan. This is probably where I first came across Michael B. Jordan. It's at least where I remember him. And he doesn't know his father. His father died in Rocky 4 when he went up against Ivan Drago. Then it was a Cold War. It's a spoof on the Cold War, kind of America versus Russia. And when Ivan Drago goes up against Apollo Creed, he kills him in the ring.
Yeah.
And it ends with Rocky taking revenge by beating Ivan Drago and and winning the war for America, and we are the champions and all that good
of the
shit.
Of
the world, baby. But Michael B. Jordan, Donnie Creed, Adonis. I'll call him Adonis. Donnie's for his friends.
Oh, we're not his friends.
Honestly, it just doesn't sound right. Like Donnie, because Adonis is what they call him in the ring and everything. So it's just I like that name too, Adonis.
It's a good name.
But he grew up estranged. He grew up in an orphanage. He was the son of an affair. Apollo Creed had an affair with this one lady that that spawned Adonis.
A spawn.
I believe she died. Yeah, thanks. I believe she passed away, and he grew up in orphanages, and he kind of got into crime a bit, because it's just a hard life when you're young like that in an orphanage. I've read Charles Dickens, and lo and behold, before he becomes he's in his teenage years, I believe, when Apollo Creed's wife. Where's Felicia Rashad? There she is. Marianne Creed. Apollo's wife, Marianne Creed, played amazingly by Felicia Rashad. She comes in, she tracks him down, she finds him, and she adopts him. Because, it's not her biological kid,
right?
But it was Apollo's, and she still loves him for that,
right.
And so she adopts him, she raises him, and she tries very hard to make sure he doesn't become a boxer, but god damn it, he just does. He wants to do that. He wants to be his own name. And, for the first one, he's kind of struggling with living. He doesn't want to be called Creed. He doesn't want people to even know that he's of the Creed lineage. He calls himself Adonis Johnson. And before his first big bout, it slips out. People are just like, oh, this is actually Apollo Creed's kid. This is Adonis Creed. And so it kind of upsets him because, he wanted to be his own name. He didn't want the legacy of his father hanging over him. But contrary to that, he goes out and finds a trainer in the form of Rocky Balboa, played by Sylvester Stallone. And this is one of the best performances from Sylvester Stallone, too, in the first Creed movie.
It is really good.
It's so good. So good. Sylvester Stallone is, he's retired. He's got his career behind him.
If I recall correctly, Sylvester plays Rocky quite a bit slower than in the previous films. Like Rocky's was never the most intelligent person, but in fact, I believe that they comment on it quite a bit in the first movie.
And this is a character he created. He wrote the first Rocky film.
That was another question I had for you. Did he have a hand in writing the Creed films?
No. So, not this one. He did in the second one. Creed 2 was written by him and somebody else. Jewel Taylor. That was the second one. Him and Jewel Taylor wrote that one. Sadly, he's not going to be in the third one for issues with the producer. So it's very sad that, there's a lot of issues going on. I don't know much about it, so I'm not going to, comment on it, but it's his fucking characters. He created, to be fair, Adonis Creed is not his, but Apollo Creed, Rocky, those are people he created. This is a world he created. Yeah. And, he's carried it pretty far. It's a good franchise. It's got some pretty good films.
100%.
I mean, Rocky 4 is a bit of a joke, but like I enjoy it. It's a fun joke, you know. It's a very enjoyable boxer film. But Creed and Creed 2 are great boxer films. Like no joke about them at all. And the first one, after getting Rocky to agree to be his trainer, Apollo starts to, you know, train for this big fight where he's going to go up against the all-time or a two-time, I can't remember what it was, but you know, he's a formidable boxer. And he's a champion of some sorts. I don't remember which. He's a world champion of some sorts, like lightweight or something. But he's Pretty Ricky Conlon, played by Tony Bellew.
Pretty Ricky?
Pretty Ricky.
Pretty Ricky. Gotcha.
Pretty Ricky Conlon. Real name Ricky Conlon, but he's a pretty
Ricky
boy.
Tikki-Tavi.
Pretty Ricky Tikki-Tavi. It's too much. But yeah, that's the big fight in the first one. He's trying to prove his name, trying to make his own legacy. Spoilers, I will say, he does lose at the end, but he wins the night. And that's the famous quote from the first one is, you know, Apollo Creed or Adonis Creed might have lost the round, but he won the night. You know, it's a really good moment. I really love the first one. I give it 3 stars. It's really fucking good. The fighting is amazing, and the cinematography, I wanted to call specific cinematography to Maurice Alberti. And the music also is from Ludwig Göransson. We've talked about him. He's really iconic. He's a good score composer. But I love the cinematography from Maurice. Like, it's hard to get a good fight scene. And especially in boxing, because you're in a closed ring, you're centering around 2 guys, but she fucking nailed it in that first movie. It's so entertaining. There's also a love interest in the form of Tessa Thompson. Tessa Thompson is the actor. She's playing Bianca, who is a singer but has a hearing impairment. She's slowly losing her hearing, but you know, Adonis doesn't care. He's madly in love, and with Rocky as his trainer and his coach, he starts calling him Unc all the time for uncle. You know, Rocky was very much like, you know, love the fight, love everything about it, but be there for your family. And that's like, you know, as an older man, at least, not so much in the Rocky films, but as an older man, he's just like, I'm in my 60s or 70s or whatever, looking back on it, don't choose the fight over your family. You know, he's like, be there for your family. But when you're gonna fight, keep them out of your head or use them for inspiration, however you need. Like,
yeah.
But it's really good. Rocky, I will say, has cancer as well, so the first film deals with that. Very emotional, good shit. Quickly touch upon the second one. That's the rematch where it ties into Rocky 4 so heavily. That's why I talked a lot about Rocky 4. Is in the second one, Adonis Creed is going up against the son of Ivan Drago.
Oh God.
Victor Drago, played by Florian Montanu. And Florian Montanu is an actual fighter, I believe. Yeah, he's a Romanian boxer. And so that was really fun. He's a stacked dude. And when Adonis is standing up against the man is the son of the man who killed his father, he's definitely looks like the underdog. And that movie deals a lot with what he has to, the legacy he has to live up to. Because in the second one, Adonis Creed is the world champion now. He starts off the movie by beating the previous guy and taking the title. And then now he gets challenged by the son of the man who killed his father. And so it's kind of like everybody's like, you don't have to do this. This guy is, stronger than you. He fights meaner than you. This isn't a fight that you have to take. Don't feel like you have to, you're dishonoring your father's memory by not trying to avenge him, if you will. And I really love the take on it. It's really good. They also do bring in Dolph Lundgren as Ivan Drago again.
Nice.
Great performance. His, Ivan Drago is very cold to his son. He's very much, I am the trainer. You are doing this to bring honor back to our name because I fucking ruined the honor of our name in Rocky 4.
Because of the drugs.
Yeah. They had a better gym, man. And it's just it's good. It's really good stuff. I really do like Creed 2. It's not quite as good as the first one, but and it's also directed. The first one was directed by Ryan Coogler. Ryan Coogler couldn't direct the second one because he was doing Black Panther. So they got what was his name? Stephen Copel Jr. And he does a good job. It's not as riveting in terms of like quality as the first one. I think the first one looked better and felt better as a fighter movie. This one has, a little rougher moments around the edges, but I still do enjoy it, and I'm very excited for Creed 3 because it's got
Jonathan Majors.
Thank you. I was struggling on his name. I was like, JM. Yeah, Jonathan Majors, and he got ripped for this fucking movie. I cannot wait to see him on the big screen.
That trailer.
It looks so good.
Yeah. Okay. What you rate it?
Oh, I didn't read the second one. I rated the first one with a 3. The second one still gets a 3, but it's like a lightly lower 3.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I understand. Well, let's take that water pop break, and then we'll come back and talk about more shows and movies. Do you guys like that idea? You like it? Okay.
You better.
You don't have to listen if you don't want to. All right, bye.
Back to you.
Welcome back.
Wobble. Welcome. We are glad to have you back on the couch with us.
Yes. So,
Yes.
I'm going to talk about a show, very formulaic buddy cop show. And I hope you're excited about it. It's called...
Kind of mildly.
Lucifer. And
very interesting. Okay.
So, in this movie, Lucifer Morningstar, portrayed by Tom Ellis, yes, the devil. This is based in the very loosely based off of the Sandman comic. I don't know if Lucifer had their own comic that spun off of it or what. Okay, well then maybe it's based off of that comic. I don't know. Anyhow, I really enjoy how this show plays with the Christian Abrahamic mythos. It's a lot of fun. So, a lot of people aren't into, a very formulaic show where, that at the end of the show, the crime's going to be solved or yada yada.
Right.
You can tell the beats of the show. A lot of people don't like that. I like those kind of shows if they're worth watching because I can do something else. I don't have to be 100% invested in it. But this one, for it to be worthwhile, it has to have a good through line. And the stuff that they're doing with the two main characters is really interesting. So, already mentioned Lucifer. His partner is Detective Chloe Decker. And she is played by Lauren German. And she is an ex-movie, I wouldn't call her a star, but she is a movie actor, and then she moved on to being a detective after her father, who was also a detective, died. And she gets involved in a case that leads her to Lux, the nightclub that Lucifer owns and runs, along with Mazikeen. Mazikeen is a demon, and she is portrayed by Leslie Ann Brand.
You've read the Sandman comics, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so Mazikeen in the comics is the one that's like you can barely understand what she's saying because she only has like half a face.
She only and when she reveals her true face in this, she does only have half a face. But
oh my god, that's
she
good.
is very much able to disguise herself as human, as well as I was going to say as well as other demons, but when other demons come, they have to possess people. But that's because Lucifer physically brought Mazikeen to our realm from hell. Yeah. So Lucifer, in this, he has wings, but he cut them off when he came to live on Earth and buried them somewhere in the desert, I think. I don't recall, actually. This is his first season.
I was gonna say, I don't know if the show says specifically. In the comics, he cut him off when he sold Hell to, or when he gave the keys to Hell to Dream.
Right. That definitely... Dream is not a part of this. Morpheus is not a part of it. This is... he just leaves. He says, I am tired of being... This is... Like, to this Lucifer, this has been a punishment. An eternity-long punishment that they don't feel that they necessarily deserve. Yes, they led a rebellion against God, but that was such a long time ago. He leaves, and he feels that he doesn't owe it to God to continue doing that role. He's tired of it, and he wants to go live it up on the surface. So that's what he's doing. He's not necessarily bored, but he is very routine in his debauchery. And Chloe Decker comes in with this case, and he realizes that his superpower, which is to have other people reveal to him their truest desire, does not work on Chloe Decker. And so he is intrigued why that's the case. So he becomes her partner, her first just a consultant, but then her partner, because, being able to find out what people want is pretty useful in the interrogation room. And so, they start solving a whole lot of crimes together. And she, for Chloe, Lucifer is a mystery in and of himself, because obviously his real name isn't Lucifer Morningstar. It's Samael, which is a joke later in the show, too. So, she wants to know what's up with him. There's, no records of him going back more than 5 years. And he just is a nightclub owner. That's just what it is. So she's trying to figure that out. And he never once lies to anybody. He is straight up. He tells them, well, I am the devil. And his bravado and nonchalance about it makes it feel like it's a persona that he's putting on. So it's just like it's hiding in plain sight, smokescreen kind of stuff, So to get in a little bit more about Chloe Decker, she has an ex-husband who is also a detective in the same police office or whatever you call it. His name is Dan Espinoza, played by Kevin Alejandro. And they have a child together whose name is Trixie, played by Scarlett Estevez. And Lucifer just hates kids, but for some reason Trixie loves him. So, immediately, Dan... I say ex-husband, but in the first season, they're not quite divorced yet. They're trying to work things out. Dan immediately thinks that Lucifer and Chloe are sleeping together because Lucifer is trying to get desperately into Chloe's pants. And that causes some problems with them, with Trixie being involved, because he's like, I don't want this weird-ass nightclub owner that you know nothing about to be in our house with our daughter. And, and also he's just very jealous. More characters. So Lucifer ends up meeting, him and Chloe both end up meeting Dr. Linda Martin, played by Rachel Harris. And if you've watched Parks and Rec, she's Ron Swanson's ex-wife.
I have an idea. I have not watched the show, but I have an idea who that is. Okay.
She's great in this. And she becomes Lucifer's psychiatrist. And once again, Lucifer never lies. So from her perspective, she's like, okay, I have this man who truly believes that he's Lucifer. Let's see where this goes. And she's like the one who he reveals his devil face to first. And when she sees it, she straight up freaks out because it breaks her reality, And she...
Oh, interesting.
Yes. So she she is not able to console him for quite some time because she's freaking out.
Do you get to see his devil's face?
Yes, it's something that he can, at least in the early scenes, he can turn on and off.
But it's not like very pretty boy. It's actually like demonic.
He is a pretty boy, but his devil face, which he uses to intimidate people in hell, is ugly and deformed.
Meow. I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
See,
he's supposed to be the most beautiful angel.
He's pretty hot.
I know what the actor looks like. I would just assume that his devil face would be even more like done up with like handsomeness. So I don't like that they made him. In
this, the angels, which there are a lot of angels, I haven't gotten into that yet. The angels self-actualize their powers. They don't know this. They all believe that their powers are gifts from God. So when he went to hell, when he was sent to hell, he believed that God gave him this tool to help punish people, which really he just was at the time seeing himself as a monster. And that stuck with him. So, that, of course, evolves as the show goes on. I like what they do with that anyways. One of the main angels who is, fourth build is Amenadale. And he is played by D.B. Woodside. And there's a lot of bits about them being brothers because Lucifer always introduces Amenadale as his brother. And D.B. Woodside is very much a black man. And so everybody has to comment on it. And every single time I'm like, have you guys never heard of adoption? Have you guys never heard of mixed heritages? Tom Ellis does not necessarily look like the whitest white boy in the world. Like, what the fuck, guys? Like, every single time they bring it up. That's the one thing that I'm like, what? Come on.
It's just an easy joke for the writers.
Yeah, definitely. Another character that I want to bring up is Ella Lopez. She's one of the forensic scientists. She's played by Amy Garcia, and she's a very fun, stereotypical nerd, but I love her because she's very kind-hearted. And there's a lot of interesting things about faith in the show, too. And she is a Christian when she's first introduced in the show and kind of waffles back and forth with that with different things that happen to her. Like, she does accidentally date a serial killer at one point. So, that kind of fucks with you and how you see the world. So they do cool things with that. And, Lucifer, obviously, like, when he learns she's a Christian, he's like, oh, okay, whatever. He's not so great, if you ask me. Dad's not so great. That's what he says. So they also bring in Charlotte. I don't want to really get into her story because it will be spoilers, but I do want to give Tricia Helfer a shout out because the character she plays requires a lot of range, and I thought she did a good job. You also have Cain as a character. And that's Tom Welling, who you might recognize that name from Smallville. He played Superman in Smallville.
Yep.
So he, I think, almost killed the show. I'm sorry, Tom. Because they did, I think it was a CW show to start, and the last, I think, 3 seasons were on Netflix. So I think...
Oh, gotcha.
Yes. I'm sorry, Tom. You did well as Clark Kent, I think, but I feel like you're not the most talented, and I apologize.
He's never coming on the show now.
No, he's not. I'm so sorry. But anyhow, he just, I still enjoyed his part of the show because everyone seemed to be getting along with Tom on set. Like, everyone, the scenes seemed like people were having a good time. It's just that I don't know. He's just a very one-note actor, and I didn't think it worked for what they were trying to do with Cain. But
that's fair.
Eve is also a character played by Inbar Lavi, probably Lavi, excuse me, but she becomes a more long-term character in the last couple seasons, and it's funny because she's definitely younger than Tom Welling. But whatever. And there's this prophecy in one of the last seasons where when the devil's first love walks the earth, when the devil walks the earth and he meets his first love, then something terrible is going to happen, yada yada. And that's when they introduce Eve, and it's like, oh, he was the serpent, they were lovers, yada yada.
Sweet.
Yeah.
It's
a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I thought the ending, oh man, it's one of the better wrapped up packages, that 6th season, from TV shows like this that I'd seen. And I think they did a good job of keeping that through lines trajectory going. You know, a lot of times that drops off in these kind of shows and doesn't go anywhere. Yeah. And I think they did a good job of keeping that pressure steady. So I'm going to give it a face and a half. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Hell yeah. I like that. Yeah, it's always been one of those shows I've wanted to watch just because I like the source material. You know, Sandman's my thing. Right. And, you know, I've read some of the Luther comics that have come from it. More of the more recent ones I've read, which were okay. Gotcha. But they hinted at something great before that. And when I wanted to research what was before that, I came across the TV show and was like, oh, this sounds so good. Somebody described it as feeling similar in style to the X-Files, where it's like it's episodic and there's a through line. I mean, it's not like obviously about aliens and it doesn't have like a heavy 90s feel, but
not as dramatic either. It's a lot more fun. It's
yeah. That's just how they described it to me. It was like it's episodic, but there's as you said, there's a through line. There's there's something always building per season. Yeah. So like I always like it. Obviously, I think the guy who plays Luther, I think he's hot. Well, I do think he's hot. But he's hot in a way that's not, you know, pretty angel boy hot. Like, you know, like in the comics when you see Lucifer, they're so goddamn handsome. Mm-hmm. And then when they become Lucifer on Earth, they look more rugged. They're still very attractive and handsome, but it looks like they look more like I've been traveling a long way tired. Yeah. Yeah. And so I really enjoyed that. But yeah, I'll definitely check it out sometime. It's on the list. It's far down the list.
I enjoyed it. I did.
Nice. Yeah. All right. I will go into... Let's do Knock at the Cabin. We'll do Knock at the Cabin. M. Night Shyamalan's latest. I will say up front, it is upper tier M. Night Shyamalan. So if you've been feeling dragged down by M. Night and you question the man, I understand. His style has lived on, but his stories have not, you know.
Yeah. We're just talking about The Last Airbender the other day.
Oh God, yeah, that's his worst. Obviously, he knows it too.
That's the bottom. Yeah, yeah.
Well, but I mean, like he had a heyday, and ever since he's been trying to bring himself back up to prominence. And I love the man. I think he is one of the better directors out there. Yes. Yeah, he has a very beautiful personality. Obviously, he might do something that will get him canceled, in which case I'll take all these words back. But but from what I know of him, he loves his actors. He loves, he works well with them. He gets decent performances. He has great mind for storytelling, I will admit. It's just sometimes his stories just aren't that riveting. They're not as compelling. Like fucking The Happening, what the hell, man? Like I can't believe I still want to rewatch that movie because I think it's hilarious as shit.
It is a eco-friendly film, okay?
sure is. But yeah, Knock at the Cabin I was really excited for. I've read one novel by Paul S. Tremblay. I don't remember what it's called. It was a demonic possession type of novel. I want to say it had something about whispers in the title. I can't remember. I guess I could just fucking look it up real quick.
So this is who he's adapting?
Yeah, this is his novel that he wrote. A Head Full of Ghosts. That's what I read. A Head Full of Ghosts.
That's interesting.
It was really good. It was a very intriguing possession tale. And what I liked about it is it was vague. It was one of those stories where it's like, I don't know if she's possessed by a demon, but it sure does seem like if this were a horror movie. and I really enjoyed that about Knock at the Cabin, because M. Night Shyamalan is very much not vague. He goes at this story with a strict, this is what's going on style. I think it could have helped if it was vague. I've heard the novel is very vague, and I'm very excited to read it, because the idea is a gay couple played by Jonathan Graff as Eric and Ben Aldridge as Andrew. I know Jonathan Groff. I know him from the Hamilton. He was in the Disney Plus version of Hamilton. The live performance. He played the king.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love Jonathan Groff. He's a great actor. Eric and Andrew are a gay couple who go out to a cabin in the woods with their daughter. I believe it's Sabrina. Let me double check that. Nope, it's not Sabrina. It is Kristen Cui playing Wynn, I think. Let me find the name. Yep, Wynn. Yes. I believe this is her first performance. I'm honestly not sure. M. Night has a really good way of bringing out good child performances. Very much the same here. She does a really good job. She is their adopted daughter. She is Asian. They are white. And so there's, they as a gay couple, and as the backstory of this film, because they do a lot of like flashback kind of things, as it all portrays, they have faced a lot of harassment. And, especially with an Asian adopted daughter, they're constantly living in a world where they're always attacked, and they always feel on their toes, but they're very loving, hopeful people. And they're at this cabin, enjoying a family vacation, when 4 people come upon them with strange weapons. And these 4 people are Dave Bautista playing Leonard, Nikki Amuka Bird playing Sabrina, Abby Quinn as Adrian, and Rupert Grint, Ronald Weasley. Sorry, I know he doesn't like that, but that's who I know him for. Rupert Grint as Redmond. And they are all the most odd type of home invaders that you've ever seen. Because, Dave Bautista is their leader, Leonard. Mm-hmm. He's obviously the biggest. He's got the muscles and everything. He's a 2nd grade gym teacher. And he is he's a kind soul. He's a very nice person. He doesn't want to be attacking them. But there they are. They're all attacking. And when they get into the house, when they capture Eric and Andrew and their daughter Wynn, they basically tie them up to chairs and tell them that one of them must die, and they, as a family, have to choose who to sacrifice. And if they do not make the choice and they do not sacrifice one of them, the world will end. They are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. They've been given these visions. They know what's going to happen. They know their purpose, their goal, and it's to make this family choose somebody to kill, basically. And that's the story. The story basically takes place only in this cabin. There's flashback moments, like I said, where they're in different locations, but for the most part, they're in this cabin in the woods, and they're being, they're surrounded by these crazy people telling them to make this impossible decision.
That's fucked
now,
up.
Again, yeah, M. Night takes a very straightforward stance. His story is very much, something's gonna happen. I will say that his story is. I mean, if you just watch the trailer, there's shots of actual apocalyptic footage. So it's like it seems real. Yeah. In the book, I'm told it's very vague, and I'm very excited to read the book because that sounds really cool. Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah. It's like you don't know if there's an actual apocalypse happen. These strange people who have you tied to a chair are telling you have to kill either your husband or your daughter. Yeah. And you're just left to make this decision, not knowing if actual people's lives are at stake outside of the cabin. That is. Yeah. And it's a very intriguing idea. M. Night handles it pretty well. It's very fascinating. I give it 3 stars. I will say this is the best performance I've seen from Dave Bautista. Nice. I'm so excited that he's getting out of the Marvel. Honestly, his Blade Runner 2049, it's a very tiny role, but I love that role.
Yeah, he's really good.
And here he's bringing that emotion back to this. It's a very emotional role for this guy because he doesn't want to be attacking this couple out in the woods. He doesn't want to be scaring this little girl. He's just death. He's been given a vision of the destruction of the world, and he just doesn't want that to happen. So he's just doing what he's
very interesting
made to believe. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to watch that as soon as I can. That sounds really good.
Yeah.
Two things that you said that made me really interested in it is high tier M. Night Shyamalan and best performance of Dave Bautista. That sounds like a really good mix. So I'm excited to watch that one.
Yeah, when I say high tier too, just to tamper the expectations, it's like 5th or 6th best of his. You know, it's not,
but that's still fair.
Yeah, it's not like Sixth Sense or Unbreakable or Signs. Like it's a little lower than those.
Right. It's below Village and Lady of the Water, or above those.
You really like The Lady in the Water.
That's am intrigued by Lady in the Water. All right. Okay, I have one more for us. This is a mini series, a docu-series ish. Have you ever heard of Paul T. Goldman?
I want to say yes, but at the same time, that just sounds like a specific name that just
a very vague name. But Paul T. Goldman is a man, a real life man. It's not his given name. I don't remember his given name, but he decided that Goldman was a better name. And
does he have Goldman Sachs?
No,
okay.
No. He has written. His claim to fame is some Amazon published novels. The first one is supposedly nonfiction with the names of people changed for security's sake. However, anyhow, what happened to Paul T. Goldman is that he married this woman. He claims to help him raise his son. And her name, this isn't her real name, but in the book, she's Audrey Munson. And when they're portraying this in scenes, so it's so strange. So it's part docuseries and part them filming the screenplays that he wrote about his own novels. Okay? And so they got actors to play all these parts. And Melinda McGraw plays Audrey Munson, his wife, and Paul T. Goldman plays Paul T. Goldman. And
good.
Everyone else can act, and he's not an actor, so I'm not going to judge him for not being able to act, but it is just so strange, and it just makes you laugh, but it also gives you that like, oh no, Paul feeling, you know what I mean? Like, oh no, Paul, I'm sorry that, oh gosh,
it's sympathetic anxiety.
Yes, sympathetic anxiety is exactly the term. So he got married to Audrey, and she said that at first it had to be a part-time marriage so that she could go half of the week, a couple towns away to take care of her mother, who is in her 90s and dying. And he said, and he was okay with that because he figured, that's a very temporary thing. And she started complaining that they were having sex too much, even though they're only married 3 days of the week. And that was upsetting to Paul. But also, like, people, if they don't want to have sex, shouldn't have to have sex, period. But anyhow, I digress. He finds out that she was never going to this other town. She was going to the trailer park that she used to live at and collecting, and she just was being away from him and living a second life. And she also tries to scam him out of money. She says, I need a check written out to BS Insurance. And she says it's Blue Shield, right? And
oh, sure, yeah. I was thinking bullshit.
Yes. And so he writes the first check, it gets cashed and whatever. A couple weeks later, she says, oh, I need this much money again to BS. And he's like, okay, sure. It's BS. It's BCBS. That's what it was. Blue Cross Blue Shield. Right. And so this time, him being a little suspicious, wrote it out to Blue Cross Blue Shield. And she comes back to him the next day saying that they contacted her that it needed to be written out to be CBS. And he's like, okay, first off, we sent it out on a Friday and it's Saturday, and I don't think that they got it that fast. But sure, I'll write a new check. And he writes a new check. He writes a new check, and he also calls for a hold on the check because he's suspicious, right? So
yeah,
she comes back the next day and says, hey, they said they were having trouble with that check. And he said, it's Sunday. They're not open. He finds out that she made her own LLC, this BCBS, in order to get money off of him. So they separate, because he's getting cheated. And then he sues her. But he also comes up with all this evidence against her where he believes that she is a prostitute, but not only that she is a matron of a prostitution ring and is involved in sex trafficking. And and he does this by getting some PIs involved in stuff, and they're like, there is some damning evidence. There are some things that we heard. And the reason why he thinks it's international sex trafficking is because she finds out that this whole time, before she even knew him, she was dating this guy named Royce Rocco, who in the scenes is portrayed by W. Earl Brown. And that's also not his real name, obviously. And he goes through this guy's trash to try to see if he can get any evidence on him. And he finds a picture of a South Asian lady and tickets from that region to the States. And so he decides that this guy is involved in sex trafficking. Anyhow, after he sues her for getting her out of money, he brings all this stuff up at court too. And they're like, hey, we can't charge her with any of these things because it's only circumstantial evidence. But she definitely screwed you out of some money, dude. So, yeah. But he didn't leave it at that. He decided to write a book about it, claiming to bring awareness to global sex trafficking, right? So he writes this novel about it. Which is completely, defamatory towards his ex-wife, who is a swindler, to be fair, and this Royce Rocco guy, who he doesn't even hardly know. And after that, he decides, well, what happens to Paul T. Goldman next? The character in his book. So he writes the Paul T. Chronicles.
Oh my God.
Yes. So there are several novels called the Paul T. Chronicles where he goes around with like another secret spy guy. I'm not even going to bother looking it up. And he goes around the world. Like I think they shoot some of the scenes on location in Prague and stuff, in these different places that he wrote that this shit was going on. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. The director of this is Jason Woliner, and he basically he read all of these things that Paul wrote and eventually contacted him and was like, listen, I've read everything that you wrote. I'm
way in the rabbit hole, man.
He said, I want to meet you. I want to talk about making your screenplay that you're trying to get.
Oh my God.
But, Jason Woliner made it into this expose about Paul T. Goldman instead. This very interesting, probably diluted man. And it's just the way this show unravels is so interesting, man. Because the first episode, you're like, this is a strange guy. And you're like, oh, he stumbled onto something weird. And then you're like, oh. So it is something else, man. I can't recommend it enough. I know a lot of people are talking about it. I give it a face and a half. It is just so strange. And it's true crime kind of thing. Kind of. Yeah. And, I do like that myself. But it's just so strange. He is the strangest Man, they do at several times call him the nicest and most difficult man that they've ever met. Several people in the show.
It's very fascinating. I don't think I'll watch it, but
I recommend it.
What a roller coaster! Yeah, it sounds like a roller coaster ride.
Oh, it sure is. It sure is. And you know what's even more interesting about it is that when they premiered the show, they filmed Paul T. Goldman's reaction, and that's in the last episode. That's basically the second half of the last episode is Jason Woliner getting his reaction about his own show, and he's like, well, I'm not exactly excited with the direction that you took it in, but I'm on TV.
My God. I'm glad they went meta.
But it's not, though. Shit. It's real life. But it's not at the same time. I don't know. It's so confusing.
It's weird, man. Yeah, I'll pass on it, though. I know you recommend it, but it sounds too much like Tiger King for me.
It does have that ring to it, except for he's a lot less harmful.
That's true.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel that Paul T. Goldman, in the process of making this project with Jason Woliner, grew as a person.
Oh, that's fair then.
Jason really did a lot to reach out to him as a friend to try to very kindly, very softly prod him in the direction of, hey, maybe these guys aren't bad people, you know?
Yeah. Well, fuck, man. All right, I'll try to quickly wrap us up here with my last film that I caught just 2 days ago.
Oh boy.
I'll do it like I did Cocaine, because it's Cocaine Bear. Cocaine Bear, baby. It's the biggest movie in the box office right now. Everybody's loving it. It's gonna make the most money ever in the world, I'm pretty sure. It's a comedy horror film. It's billed as a comedy horror. I think it's really hilarious because it's more just comedy and gore. There's not really a horror aspect to it, other than the fact that it's bloody as fuck.
Just don't take your kids, is what they're saying.
Don't take your kids. It's not suitable for the kids. But the adults will sure laugh at it. And honestly, it's a dumbass movie. It's really fucking stupid. But I had such a fun time that I do recommend it. It's directed by Elizabeth Banks, which is very surprising to me. I thought she was acting in it. Turns out she's directing it. What turned her onto the project, I have no fucking clue, but that's great stuff. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller were producers on it. They're the Lego Movie guys. They've done so much more beyond Lego Movie, of course, but that's specifically what I know them for. Hold on a second, I gotta check this message. Okay. Yeah, so they just produced it. I don't think they really had much else beyond that. It stars a lot of people. I'm not really gonna go too far into like all the cast. The big ones that I know are O'Shea Jackson Jr. and Alden Ehrenreich. They play this a couple of people who are they're drug dealers, and their boss is the great Ray Liotta. Yeah, cocaine specifically. And their boss is the great Ray Liotta. Sadly passed away. It's kind of sad because this movie is dedicated in memory to Ray Liotta. I don't know if it was his last movie, but it's just like you go from Goodfellas to Cocaine Bear. Like his career is just sandwiched.
Hey, they always do that though if somebody dies before it's produced,
right?
Or published, rather.
It's just like at the end it popped up and said in memoriam for Ray Liotta, and I was just like, ooh. I was like, no.
Oh, no. Yeah, I had forgotten he'd passed, because that one honestly was surprising, because he wasn't that old.
No, he wasn't that old. Very sad. He's really great. But they're cocaine dealers. Their cocaine was dumped over the Tennessee forest area, national park or whatever. And the dude who dumped it jumped out of the plane and died because he had a non-functioning parachute. That stuff actually happened in real life.
Oh.
This guy dumped out his cocaine over this forest. Yeah, well, some of it is. And they later found a bear dead from a heart attack after consuming a shit ton of cocaine. The bear did not go on a rampage, but in this movie, the bear goes on a rampage.
this is a what if. This is Marvel's what if.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of people in this park. There's the park ranger. There's a guy who's inspecting the park. There's a couple who are hiking. There's a woman, Carrie Russell, is looking for her daughter who's gone missing in the woods because she was one of the bear's, first people it attacked. She survives, I will say. She's like a Girl Scout running away, does a good job. But like that's the main beef of the story, is this mom trying to find her daughter. And then these two drug dealers, Alden Ehrenreich and O'Shea Jackson Jr. Alden is the guy who did Han Solo in the Solo story.
Okay.
So it's like they're trying to find it. Alden's dealing with his own emotional issues. His wife just passed away, and his daughter is staying with Ray Liotta. Ray Liotta is his father. So it's just like, he's the son of this great drug dealer, but he's just like, man, I just like... sorry, Ray Liotta's not playing himself. He's playing a guy named Sid.
Yeah,
but,
that's...
he's
Ray Liotta, best drug dealer.
The best drug dealer. But no, yeah, it literally is just... people in this forest getting attacked by a bear that's just consumed way too much cocaine. Everybody in the film knows what they're making. They know the film that they're making. They know it's stupid, but they all have a good time. It never tries to be a good movie. It just tries to be a fun movie, and it succeeds at that. It's good. It's pretty damn stupid, but man, is the gore great. The bear is funny as fuck. I mean, the action's not always the greatest, like the CGI that is. the effects, but I
feel like in the last few years, effects have gone down.
Yeah, they really have. But, also, I don't think it had much of a budget. It was like $30 million, and I think it's so far made $30 million.
Did it need...
It's Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need it to be anything more than it is. The kills are funny, and like, it really is kind of sad how you're rooting for all these people to die. Because it's like, they're not all bad people, but at the same time, you're really just wanting to watch this bear have fun.
Yeah,
and like... And you get that. You do get the experience this bear just go to fucking town on some people. And the story is honestly not that riveting, and they spend a little too much time in the story and not much time on Cocaine Bear, but the amount they do spend on Cocaine Bear is worth the ticket. So I give it a fun 2.5 stars.
Well, that's fun. I do want to see it, but I think I'm going to wait for it to be on the small screen sometime.
Yeah, I don't recommend the theaters for it.
Though I do appreciate that it exists.
Yep, I do too.
Yeah,
it was fun. Me and the individuals I went to see it had a blast. We walked out and we're just like, we were laughing and grinning like idiots because it was like, it's stupid, but man, is it fun stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's good to have those. We're in a time period of history where we need shit like that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, agreed.
Well,
and that's it. I think that's been the show.
That's been the show.
A long
Good
one,
thing, because my phone's about to die.
Well, thanks for tuning in, patrons. We love you so much. Sorry this one's a bit of a long one, but I hope you enjoyed it. He is the Faceless Leon.
And they are the Green Traveler from Gorsh. Safe travels and good riddance.